What's up everyone, it's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and you might remember towards the end of last year, 2017, I actually made a video about Secret of Mana 2 or Seiken Densetsu 3. The reason for that was with the upcoming, well at the time, the upcoming Secret of Mana Remake obviously hadn't been out yet, but it kind of piqued my interest in the sense that we could eventually see Square Enix release a full 3D remake of Secret of Mana 2 instead of just porting over the original trilogy, or well, not the trilogy, but porting over the original Super Nintendo version and just localizing that for the first time. Now, of course, stuff has happened since I originally made that video, and at the time I said I was fine with that as long as we get it in some way, shape or form. Now, a couple of things to go on from there in the meantime. One, as I've already made a video about very recently, that the Square Enix producer of the Secret of Mana remake and the Seiken Densetsu collection has actually expressed interest in porting the actual collection over to the Western markets, or should I say localizing it for Western markets. And that's definitely a big thing because there's a lot of outcry for that, and for that trilogy to actually, not just trilogy, but for the collection to be ported over and localized for, well, basically for the West, myself included. I make a fairly decent bit of noise about that, and Square Enix have publicly acknowledged that they are aware of the absolute sheer demand for the version of it localized for the West. Now, before we go any further, I just want to say right here, this game you're looking at right now is actually Secret of Mana 2, or as the official name is, the Seiken Densetsu 3. Again, my Japanese is terrible, so I may be pronouncing that incorrectly, but you can see this game in its original form is gorgeous. This game looks even better for the most part than Secret of Mana. Personally, I like the art style and the colour and the vibrancy of Secret of Mana just a little bit more, but you can see in this, the 16-bit pixel art is absolutely gorgeous. The environments are absolutely gorgeous. The more realistic art style they used than, say, Secret of Mana, along with the colours, the shading, etc., looks absolutely gorgeous. And all of this, as you're seeing right now, is being delivered in its pure form by the phenomenal Analog Super NT. Now, moving on from that all for a second, the reason why I feel like talking about that and giving all this list of everything I just did, and why I feel that that's important, is when I made that original video towards the end of last year, I said I would have been okay if we got the 16-bit version localized and ported over, and I would have been okay if they were saving up and waiting for a remake, and a full 3D remake based on how Secret of Mana Remake does, and how the sales did for that, and how it drummed up interest for the series from old players and for new players. But having spent about a week with the Secret of Mana remake and have actually fully completed it, I would now absolutely no way in hell not be okay with a full 3D remake of Secret of Mana 2, because it would end up like the Secret of Mana remake, which was not a good remake. I played through the entire thing on stream, and I even gave my actual review of it in the credits of the final stream. And based on my experience with that, and if they use that as the baseline and that as the example for making a full 3D remake of Secret of Mana 2, I can just say it would definitely, absolutely 100% not turn out to be the same game that we've known and loved for these years. So in the meantime, all I can do is really hope that Square Enix and the producers and the directors and developers and whoever it is there, the localization team, that they just localize and port over the Secret of Mana 2 version that was included in the collection. They can port it over to whatever system they want, be it the Switch, the PS4, the Vita, Steam, whatever. Just give us that version than what would potentially and probably be the crappy 3D remake. The game itself is phenomenal. Don't hinder it and gimp it down and butcher it by making a bad remake. So what do you think we should see for Secret of Mana 2? What do you think would be the best version of it? Do you think they're saving up to give the remake treatment again like they did for Secret of Mana? Or do you think we'll actually see it localized and ported over in its glorious 16-bit form? On top of that as well, what did you think of the Secret of Mana remake? Did you play the original and then you think the new one is butchered? Or do you think it does it justice? Or did you not play the original and you played the new one and you thought it was fine? As well as a quick little self-plug right before we go, I'm currently in the process of streaming one of the entire stories of Secret of Mana 2, so you can tune in and check that out if you really want, and see it all in its gorgeous Analog Super NT 1080p cartridge glory. Anyway, let me know all that good stuff in the comments section below. Remember to hit the appropriate button based on how you think I did on the video and how you enjoyed it. And while you're at it, why not hit the subscribe button and then turn on that little bell so you get all those notifications that we were talking about for whenever the streams come up for Secret of Mana 2. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the rest of the videos in my channel.